like I'm recording. Hi boys and girls, it's me Butch. My name is Terry David Silvercloud. I'm 75 years old. Today's the 12th of June 2020. It's a Friday. The sun's come out. We've had a really cool spring. We've come through the COVID-19 first part fairly well here in Vancouver, and I was able to see a dentist yesterday. But also yesterday I received a phone call from a social worker to tell me that my best friend of 49 years wasn't expected to live the night. And she had requested, her name is Norma, she's 93. She's in Victoria, which is, I just couldn't get over there anyway right now, I don't think, and I'd probably be too late. But anyhow, she apparently is lucid and not hurting, and she's aware that she's about to die. That was yesterday, and said she's at peace with it, and she wanted me and another friend, the social worker name, to know that she was at peace with dying. And I mentioned to the social worker that Norma was quite religious, and the social worker said she knew, and that Norma had told her that I don't believe in God. And that was one of the nice things about my relationship with Norma, is we could agree to disagree, and we disagreed on all kinds of stuff. But that's the way good friends can be. You agree to disagree. And she believed in miracles, and she was Roman Catholic. She left a lot of her stuff before she went into a retirement home with me, and I'm sure she got another one because I don't think she realized she left her Bible behind. But she had a Bible, which she usually kept by her bed to remind herself to check it out once in a while. Norma wasn't the church-going kind of Christian. Norma was the practicing kind of Christian. She was not the preachy kind of person. It didn't matter a whit to her what you believed in. Norma accepted everybody. She did as Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount, to not examine the speck in your brother's eye when you haven't examined the log in your own. Don't judge other people. So Norma she had her opinions, but sometimes she expressed them quite loudly. And I'm going on here, but my dear friend Norma, if she hasn't passed away yet, I haven't had another call from the social worker, but I'm glad I got a call, because I'm not a relative. And in British Columbia, if you think somebody has died and you're not a relative and you can't get them to go through official channels, you can't find out if somebody is dead or not. They can be alive or dead, and you cannot examine the public record for 7 years unless you're like police, or you have to have a judge say, okay, they can have a peek. So you know, if you lose touch with people, you don't know if they're alive or dead. And I was quite concerned because she went into hospital about a month ago. And anyhow, going on and on. But it makes me realize, my own mortality, which I'm well aware of. I have no close friends. I'm quite difficult. I'm one of those really, I don't want to call myself a nerd. I'm just a very deep person. I'm into physics. And the kind of physics I'm into are at the extremely smallest level of reality, dark matter. I consider electrons to be large. And in the world of particle physics, electrons are the smallest particle. Quarks are bigger than electrons, in case you didn't know that. But the electron mass of a proton, which contains three quarks, is 1,800 times that of an electron. So if you divide 3 into 1,800 versus 1, you can see there's some quite large discrepancies there. all of the energy isn't tied up in the quarks. There's gluons and stuff. That's the kind of, see, there I go, I drifted off. But I'm into motion and relativity. And I know things that lots of people know. I don't know magic stuff. This is stuff that lots of people, physicists, would be aware of. And if I wander off and start giving you one of my own opinions in this day of what's fact and what's fiction, I'll tell you it's my idea, not conventional physics. So you know that it's Butchie Poo's idea. So back in, I'm going to, just in case you're already bored and you want to get out of here, you probably are. See, when I drift off, people's eyes go over. When I start talking about that science stuff, I can see people's eyes just go, what? And they drift off. But I'm an atheist, and I think the very concept of a God is evil. Not just illogical as a scientist and ridiculous, but evil. Like, by what right? And people that believe they have to have a creator to explain all this don't seem to grasp. They're not answering the question. They're just making it way more complicated, because now, okay, well, if I accept that you had some imaginary God that rules you, if I were to accept that, now my question is, well, where did they come from and how did they get to be the boss? And why do you owe them anything, if anything? My belief is that when I die, I'm dead. I believe God is a metaphor for the sum of all reality forever and ever. Everything is God, whether it's alive or uh, inanimate, like my cup of coffee. This is God too. And that the way God, and that God is not a person, cannot be a person. Who'd want the job anyway? It'd be ridiculous. What a horrible job. God, who'd want it? I can see why the Queen wants out of it. Maybe she likes it. Where were I? See, that's how I drift away. That's the kind of guy I am. But the personality part, if you must have personality of God, you're God. I'm God. Everybody's God. It's not quite what it was cracked up to be. That way, God gets to experience everything. God gets to experience every orgasm that ever possibly happened. And all of it. Oops. I banged my wire there. Am I still on here? No, I'm still there. I got my computer behind me. So that way, God would, as a metaphor, experience every orgasm that ever happened, ever. And at the rate babies are being made, that's about one a second here on Earth. So there's some male having an orgasm. Whoops, 5 of them just, see, they're just streaming by. Babies are being born every 1.5 seconds on Earth right now. That's how fast babies are being born. Oops, 10 more kids were just born. See, that's how fast it's happening. It's not good. But then God would also experience like every horror too. So when Lavoisier, who was a great French scientist, he was part of the king's court, and during the French Revolution, um, the people weren't too happy that he invented the tax system, and so it was off with his head. So one of the greatest scientists who lived was 28th in line that day to have his head chopped off during the French Revolution. They got very efficient at it. They're guillotine. They could do what was it, they could chop off 6 heads an hour. They got really efficient at it. Getting them in and out. You're gone. Where were I? So God would also get to feel the old blade going through the neck, or when you drop from the hangman's noose, or you're in that horrific fire. God gets to experience. That's the metaphorical God, and it's the only possible God that a real physicist like myself. Sorry, all you make-believe physicists out there, but you're fake. Um, Big Bang Theory, and just so you know, in case you don't know, and you probably don't, that's not accepted by very many people other than some academics. It's got so many loopholes and so much silliness. It doesn't make sense, and Here, this is going to be Butch physics. I'm going to tell you right now. I believe that gravity is push, not pull. That the universe is, there's no nothingness. The nothingness is a gas called dark matter, and it simply can't be frozen. It's too small for. It is frozen anyway, but to us, it's a gas. It's just so tiny that it is nothing. And from that forms matter. But I'm not going to get into all that kind of stuff. Where I was there, see, I blew it. That's what happens when I drift off in these kind of things. Um, Shoot, I lost it. I lost it. Butch lost it. So I think I was trying to explain something physical, and then one of my brains goes this way and the other goes that way. Metaphorically, uh, God is just simply everything, and there can't be. If there's creators, that doesn't make them God. You know, like we're just approaching, like in the last few days with the murder of in Minneapolis of another black man, Floyd. Jeez, smoking too much pot. His name. I'm old too. Forgive me if I don't remember his name just at the moment. But you know, the whole Black Lives Matter thing is bringing up all these things, and oh, I think I said I didn't want to live forever. Humanity to me is scary. You know, I grew up in an era which was basically whitey whites. I'm third, fourth, fifth generation white. I don't have attachments to my Scottish, Irish, French, who knows what relatives, but I've been blended. And, you know, I grew up in Hamilton, which was a blend of anything European you can think of. I live in Vancouver now, which the population is only about 1% black. So issues here have to be seen through a different lens than in the United States, where, or in Toronto, for instance, where there's a large black population. And I'm queer, so I've experienced a lot of police nastiness in my life when I was younger, and I'm not going to bore you with that. So I have an intrinsic mistrust of the police myself. Um, but humanity, I think, is at a point where we have so many crises going on just now. I don't expect a second coming, which some of my acquaintances on the street, the rubby dubs I talked to up in the 70th, and I shouldn't, see, I didn't mean it that way, that the people that imbibe a lot of alcohol and sit around and talk all day, at the corner of 70th and Granville here. They know who I am because my local Safeway is near there. Um, See, I lost it again. I go off on paths. Um, Here's something, because I know I've gone way too long here. Oops, I can't even see what's happening. Oh, about 12 minutes already. Life is an illusion. Like, I'm a physicist, but I see through a lot of it. Like Newton, Sir Isaac Newton. Oh, I was talking about Lavoisier. That's how I got off track. You know, God got to experience Lavoisier having his head whacked off there. But life is an illusion, and Sir Isaac Newton recognized that our whole view of reality is relative. Einstein wasn't the first to come up with that. Einstein looked at a special view of relativity, which involved relationships with the speed of light. And when he first looked at it, he had not considered waves. It's not his fault. Waves were all brand new. And the big connection had not really been put together, connecting magnetism and electromagnetism, and that had not been connected together by mathematical formulae until a Scottish, is he Scottish? Lorenz. Lorenz came up with his conversions. There's a whole, I'm not good at remembering people's names. Sorry about that. I'm not trying to offend any physicists. Uh, but something you probably are taught, and everybody will. I'm just going to shut up after I tell you this because I'll try and edit this a bit and I'll throw in some illustrations. I hope, maybe, hope it works. Um, we all think of the planets as going in circles or ellipses or whatever is good for you around the sun. And they do that for Earth once a year, 365 and a quarter days. It's back in space where it was 365 and a quarter days ago. That's not fact. That's an illusion of the fact that we live within the bus of the solar system. The solar system in 1 year moves with the galaxy. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you about earlier that I forgot. The solar system moves within the galaxy 7 billion kilometers per year, which is why the universe seems to be going away from this in all directions at once. It is. We're moving to a different point of rest. It's going to take us millions of years to get there. Don't worry about it. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take millions of years to happen. But each year we're moving 7 billion kilometers closer to the black hole at the center of our galaxy that we can't see because it's black. It's not black, it's just that it's made of dark matter, and dark matter is so small it doesn't reflect light. Light is wavelengths that are quite large, and the entire, they're less than a billionth of a meter, but that's quite large when you're working in teensy things like I work on, like dark matter. Um, and I forgot what the hell I was talking about. But life is an illusion, and you think everything, the planets are going in circles, but that's just from your viewpoint from Earth. If you were a passenger on a bus going down the highway at 30 miles per hour, and there was a person standing at the front of the bus with a ball, and another person at the back of the bus with a catcher's mitt, and the person at the front of the bus tossed the ball to the person at the back of the bus. You're sitting in the bus, and you, with your own eyes, you could film it. You could film it. You would see the bus traveling, or the ball as the person tossed it, traveling towards the back of the bus, and the person at the back would catch it. But that's not what happened. What really happened is the ball, the moment it left the pitcher's hand towards the direction of the catcher, was already traveling backwards at 30 miles per hour because that's what the pitcher was doing and that's what the bus was doing. So the bus, if the uh, pitcher just dropped the ball, the illusion you would see would be that the ball would fall straight down. But I could show you it actually made a curved path as it went down. That's another story. But when the ball left the pitcher's hand, the pitcher applied just enough force that that ball slowed down from going backwards and basically stopped in space and didn't much go anywhere. And the person at the back of the bus caught up to it just in time for the ball to be where it was almost suspended in space as the bus went by and the back person caught up to it, get caught. And that's what really happened, but it's not what really happened. What really happened is the ball slowed down and basically stopped moving forward for that instant. 30 miles per hour, that's 44 feet per second. So if it took half a second for the ball to go there for 22 feet would be, that's about right. So for about half a second, the ball was really just suspended in space. And the same thing is happening with Earth going through space. You think it's making these loops and not happening. What's really happening, and I'm going to put some pictures here over my face, is the Earth is going to make a single wave like a helical loop, 7 billion kilometers long and about 200 million. See, I'm old school miles, and this miles and kilometers things always screw me up. We're 93 million miles from the sun. That's what I remember. I don't remember in kilometers, so I'm going to go 180 million miles wide. I just can't convert that to kilometers at the moment. But we're going to go 7 billion. I know 7 billion is a fact because an astronomer worked it out for me. I know this is true because an astronomer from a real university did the math for me. Thank you, Cornell University. Thank you, Cornell. And they said, oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that. So the astronomer had never even thought about this before. Well, that's really interesting. Never thought about that before. And she's an astronomer. They're not physicists. Well, they are physicists, but they think about things that, they're into other things. So the Earth actually makes a single wave with a period of 365 and a quarter days, and that is one wavelength of the Earth. So the Earth actually spirals through space, and nothing could ever go in a circle unless it can beat Einstein's mc square equation. And if you can do that, you can break out. That's really just a modified formula for the area of a circle. Einstein didn't think of, when he was working, quantum physics wasn't invented yet, so it's not his fault. He did get into it later, but quantum physics can deal with volumes of things, and they're called photons. A photon is a volume of energy, and then there's little photons that are, there's photons. I have another video about this. There's photons and there's photons and there are photons. And a photon torpedo would, I'm sure, blow up anything that, I don't know how you contain that. Let's not get into that. Anyhow, all motion you see is false. And time is sort of an illusion of size. I believe the universe is infinite. It's always existed in some form or other. Oh, the other thing is the redshift. The redshift is easily explained by the fact that the density of space around stars is denser than more open space. And wavelengths always bend towards the denser medium. So the further and further and further away of the origin of any light source in any direction, that's why it's the same in all directions, the more bends the light had to take to get there. And even measuring how far away from it is going to start having inaccuracies the further and further you go away. And the blue light just isn't going to make it. There's a fundamental rule that anybody who took high school physics should know about waves is longest is strongest. It may take a lot of energy to make a short wave, but the strong waves are the long waves. I believe that gravity is push, not pull. This is my idea. It doesn't invalidate any law or rule we have already. It's just a different way of viewing things. I view the universe as a gaseous, the gas is dark matter, universe, and everything obeys the laws of flotation. And when you see the spiral rings of a galaxy, you can predict that its direction is that the actual direction it's moving at space will be based on magnetic lines that are at right angles to that. It's exactly the same reason why there's rings around planets and why when you see jet aircraft breaking the sound barrier, sometimes you'll see briefly this ring, this mushroom shaped ring of water vapor around them. It's just physics. It's the physics of open space versus whatever clutter of electronic junk is trailing along with the planet. It's encountering the resistance of space, which is so much per uh, quantum unit, if you wish, which is probably 1 Planck. I'm guessing that 1 quantum unit has got a resistance of 1 Planck. I may be wrong. I have to think about, I shouldn't have said that off the top of my head. I haven't thought about it first. So this got really long. Am I still recording? 23 minutes. If you thought I was interesting, you're still here. If you weren't, well, you were gone a long time ago. Anyhow, I probably didn't cover anything that I meant to cover other than I can't speak for all atheists. I consider religion a vile, evil thing. It's mind control over people who don't know a lot about things. And even the religious type I met, I talk to them, they don't even know what's in their own Bible. I know more than what's in the Bible than they seem to know. But I've studied a whole bunch of religions uh, just to check them out, know my facts. If you can check some of my other videos out, I talk about the origin of Lucifer and the devil and where all that silliness came from. And yeah, I despise religion as a vile type of mind control over easily manipulated people. But it'll come to an end in these days of social revolution and worldwide pandemics. Maybe it'll come quicker than not. I don't want to live forever. Who'd want to live with this kind of humanity? It's I'm queer, and I don't even fit well with the regular queer community, and I don't have a boyfriend right now. My best friend either has just died or is going to die within a day or so, and she believes in God, and that's fine for her. She's not that well educated. What could I do? Even though she knows I'm brilliant, she would probably call it. Uh, it's not enough to convince her. I don't mean to demean or anything. My mom used to say, "You can't reason with crazy people," but my mom was quite religious too. She was very religious. I grew up in a very religious family, and as a gay person growing up, when I didn't even know what gay was in the 50s and 60s, I couldn't believe there would be a God that would put me in this kind of situation that I found myself in back then. Uh, but now I'm really happy that I'm queer. I'm queer. I'm not the gay people you see on TV. I'm one of the oddball ones. My nose is a bit clogged up there. I have sinus issues. I smoke a lot of pot, which sometimes affects my sinuses. So I'm going to shut up. I'm going to post this video, even if it's a pile of crap, just because somebody will watch it, and maybe they'll learn something, or you'll try and get to know something about me, or read your religious text and find out more about where your book came from. The New Testament was written in the 4th century, and the original translation was done by Jerome, who you'll call Saint Jerome, and it was done for the Roman Catholic Church after the Council of Nicaea. And that's how errors like devil and Satan and hell, that's how they got into the Bible. One last thing before I go. Lucifer was removed from pretty much all Bibles. I don't know about the Roman Catholic Bible. I haven't checked that one out lately, but even the Jehovah's Witness removed Lucifer from the Bible. Everybody knew that was a big mistake. There is no Lucifer, never was a Lucifer, just a bad translation made in the 4th century. So Butchie Pooh's going to shut up, and I got to turn around here, and I'm going to stop this. Here we go. Bye-bye.